the president and CEO of the Peach Bowl, and, of course, in charge of the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Game as well. Gary Stokan, been with us before. Always fun to catch up with Gary. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Well, Gary, it's like when I called in, your producer said they're feeling like when they were a little kid and summer was getting ready to start and they were ready to get out of school. That much anticipation and excitement and everything. That's the feeling. It's just a great time of the year for college football to be here, and we're ready to kick it off.
Indeed. There's nothing like an opening game. I mean, the whole season's special, but the anticipation for the first game of the year, as you just said, it's something special. And like I like to always say, Gary, right now, for some teams, fan bases, this is the best time of the year because reality will set in quickly. But right now, for the most part, other than the few teams that played in week 0, everybody's undefeated. So it's a good time.
Well, it's interesting you say that because that's one of the impetuses of creating the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Game was I said, at the end of the year, people could be frustrated or disappointed if their expectations weren't met on the field. Teams could be disappointed, whatever. But at the beginning of the year, in starting the kickoff game, the first game of the year, anticipation highs, everybody's undefeated, everybody's going to go undefeated, and everybody's going to win the national championship. So you're going to get people that want to buy tickets and want to go to the game, and that's one of the reasons we started the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Game.
Absolutely. And Alabama, as I said, has been a big part of this numerous times, and, of course, the game against Clemson in 2008 really started this run for Nick Saban at Alabama. So fans know the trek well from Tuscaloosa on I-20 over to Atlanta. The impact that Alabama has had with the success of the program in this game, been a frequent player in this game, and I know it's been good for Alabama, and I get the impression it's been really good for the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Game as well.
Well, you're right, Gary. That's a good way of putting it. Both of us have benefited. Certainly we have because we gave Alabama the opportunity in the beginning when they're coming off a 7-6 season, and they came in, beat number 9 Clemson, and Sports Illustrated had on the cover Alabama's back. And as you pointed out, that was the start of Nick Saban and Alabama's tremendous run that we've never seen anything like in college football. The interesting thing, too, our Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl game, Dabo Swinney would tell you their run started that they've been on when they beat LSU 13-12, and I think it was our 2012 Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. So kind of ironic. We've had a hand in both dynasties, Clemson and Alabama, that they've been on over the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah, very ironic. The matchup this year against Duke, and, being a sportscaster here in Tuscaloosa, I've heard from some fans that are saying, we're not excited about this game. Why Duke? And I have told them, well, I'm going to have Gary Stokan on the program on the radio show, and then I'll interview you, of course, tomorrow for television on Saturday. But I'll ask you why Duke, and I think I know some reasons. First of all, David Cutcliffe's built a heck of a program. From a power conference, and I know when this game was put together, there was the anticipation that Daniel Jones would be the quarterback at Duke, who would be a Heisman Trophy candidate, and instead he left early and is a member of the New York Giants. But give us some more insight in how this matchup between Alabama and Duke came about.
Well, you're exactly right. Number one is David Cutcliffe. I admire tremendously well, just like I admire Nick Saban, and both have won the Dodd Trophy, which is the most coveted college Coach of the Year award because it emphasizes not only what you do on the field, but what impact you have on your community, and whether it's Nick Saban with Nick's kids or David Cutcliffe, what he's done with Ronald McDonald House in Durham. And then lastly, you have to graduate your kids. So your GPA needs to be high, and you need to have a high graduation rate. Both Nick and David Cutcliffe have done a great job with that. Obviously, we know David from the SEC days with Ole Miss, and what he did at the great run Tennessee had as offensive coordinator under Philip Fulmer. But you're right, David Jones was supposed to be here, and if he was here, I think Duke would be a top 25 team. They have 16 starters returning. Their whole defensive line returns. They're big, they're fast, they got depth there. If you're going to beat Alabama, to me, defensively, you better have a good defensive line, and you better have some linebackers that can get to the ball quick, which Duke has. And then lastly, you better have a really good secondary because I think that's going to be the strength of Alabama this year is their passing game. And with Tua and Judy and Ruggs and all those great receivers they have over there at Alabama. And that's one of Duke's strengths. I mean, their defensive backfield is excellent. And so, I think we're in for a great matchup.
I think it's going to be a good game, too, an entertaining game. And I know Nick Saban has a lot of respect for David Cutcliffe in the program, and you pointed out some reasons why this team is expecting to have a good season. The 16 starters back, Quentin Harris, their quarterback. When he's played very well, and he's a fifth-year player.
Yeah, very intelligent, and David, knows how to coach quarterbacks. So I think he'll be someone that will protect the ball. Their offensive line is back. They're young, but they've played a lot of ball. They've got really good running backs. The one running back, I can't remember his name right now, but catches the ball very well out of the backfield. So, I'm sure there'll be some checkdowns there to try and get him in some space. So, and we know about Alabama, obviously, offensively and defensively. They're excellent. They've been dinged up a little bit by, some really tough injuries. I mean, Dylan just, your heart aches for someone that's prepared themselves so well and, such a leader to get the opportunity to play and then that to happen to him. But again, that's football, and that's why you have a team, and it's next guy up. And so there'll be an opportunity presented to someone else at Alabama to fill that role.
The city of Atlanta, of course, it's a great location, and just about every game it seems like it's the hospitality is unbelievable, and it's a great geographic location, particularly for these two fan bases, from Durham and from Tuscaloosa. But the folks there in Atlanta, this is a tradition, and I know there'll be a lot of Alabama and Duke fans, but when I'm at these games, I see some fans that come to the game that aren't necessarily fans of either school. The city of Atlanta has really embraced this, and of course, it's been good for the city too. But give us some little insight on how the city and the state of Georgia has taken to this game as well.
Well, thank you for that. It's a nice compliment about Atlanta. We are a melting pot of alumni from around the country. We have the number 1 and number 2 alumni bases. Highest alumni basis for all the ACC and SEC schools living in Metro Atlanta. And then you put on top of that all the other schools that, have people here. We're 6.5 million people in Atlanta now. And, some people have called us the capital of college football. But you're right. I mean, we'll have probably, about 20,000 fans in there that, they may be Duke or Alabama fans, but they're probably not alumni. And our people in Atlanta follow college football. I mean, Birmingham is, I think, the number 1 viewing audience nationwide across the board for college football, but Atlanta's in the top 5, top 10. And so we have people that love college football. They follow it on TV. They buy tickets to the game. We're going to have another sellout. We've already sold out the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl semifinal game.
Oh, wow.
That'll be played December 28th. And I know Alabama fans, want to play in this game. They want to play in the SEC championship, and they want to be back for a third time in our Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl semifinal. So we'll see if the Crimson Tide can roll and make that happen.
Yeah, that's the plan. The triple header at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and the Georgia Dome was awesome. I loved it. But the the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, my gosh, and of course the College Football Hall of Fame. It's a must for folks that haven't been to one of these games and haven't visited the College Football Hall of Fame. That's a must see.
Well, they really do, Gary. And I'll tell you what, it's interesting. Anybody that comes over the month of August can get in free.
Oh, wow.
So, you don't have to pay. So come over. You got to see the hall because if you're an Alabama fan, you'll get an Alabama experience, but you'll also be encapsulated in a total immersive college football experience. And to celebrate the 150th anniversary of college football and then to go be able to see Alabama playing Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I can't think of a better Labor Day weekend.
I can't either. Gary, listen, I know we got to let you go in a moment and we got to get to our break, and I did not solicit phone callers, but we've had people, the phone lines are lit up. Can you take a question or two before you go?
Oh, I'd love to.
All right,
yeah,
great.
I'd love to.
Let's go to Tom. He's first up with a question for Gary Stokan. Go ahead, Tom. Tom's gone. All right, let's go to Lance. Lance, you're on with Gary Stokan.
Hey, Gary, yeah, I was just calling to make a comment about Coach Cutcliffe, what I admired about him. y'all recall this when Ole Miss was trying to improve the record over there, and they wanted him to fire some of his coaches. And he said, no, I am not firing coaches. I've got the coaches I want, and I'm going to keep them. They said, well, if you don't, you're going to be gone. He said, well, I'll be gone then. But that loyalty right there, I've always been impressed with that, that he had for his coaches.
Yeah, thank you, Lance. Great point. And Gary and I spoke to this earlier. You can't. I've seen nobody in the game of college football that questions a character, David Cutcliffe. I mean, everybody that knows him says he's a great coach and he's a better man, right, Gary?
Well, that's a great way of putting it, Gary, and that's one of the reasons why he won the Dodd Trophy. And I would tell you that I think he had the Tennessee job a couple times ago. And they told him they wanted him to do something with the staff, keep certain people or whatever. And he turned down the Tennessee job because integrity-wise, it's just too important to him to have the people with him that he's loyal to, like he was at Ole Miss. And you're right, it speaks, and Lance is right too. Speaks to the character and the integrity of David Cutcliffe.
Final couple minutes with Gary Stokan, CEO and president of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and in charge of the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Game. Tom is back. We're going to get to Tom real quick, and then we'll move on. Tom, you know better to hang up. What's going on?
Yeah,
you're on with Gary Stokan.
Gosh, misled me. Good morning, Gary. Good morning, Gary.
Hey, Tom. How you doing?
I'm good. Listen, first of all, I want to say thank you to Chick-fil-A and the city of Atlanta for what they've done for college football. It's been unreal. And as a longtime fan, I just can't think of anybody better at what they do. So thank you, first of all. And then second, sometimes the neutral game sites come under scrutiny a little bit, and maybe the popularity is not where it was when it first started. But I've always wondered, is there ever a scenario in your mind where, let's say, Chick-fil-A would take their show on the road, so to speak, and go to a home-and-home type game with their sponsorship for a kickoff classic?
Yeah, it's a great point. Couple things. Number one is, we're with Peach Bowl. Chick-fil-A is our sponsor, and they're great people, great partners for us in Peach Bowl for our bowl game, our kickoff game. And we've been good for them. They've been great for us. And so we make a great partnership. With respect to neutral games, it's up to the ADs if a game's played on their home field as to what they do with sponsorship of that game. So that's more in the AD's hands rather than Chick-fil-A's or, in our case, our hands. But, we think that the neutral format will continue to exist. We like that, obviously with ACC and SEC only having 8 games, if an AD schedules 3 non-conference games with their 4 conference games at home, that's what they budget for, 7 games. And there's 1 game left, and that's the game that, we typically try and get to make a neutral. Alabama and Nick Saban, give him all the credit in the world. He's done a wonderful job of figuring out going neutral in recruiting places like Florida, like Texas, like Georgia, helps them recruiting-wise, but also financially it's a windfall for Alabama because they make money at the neutral game in Atlanta, and then next year they'll make money at the neutral game in Dallas. And the last thing I would say is for the fans, we give enough tickets to Alabama that their fans can come if they want to come, and if they don't, then they get the opportunity to watch a great game on TV in the first game of the year, rather than being a nondescript opener that people may not want to come to or watch on TV.
No doubt about it. Thank you, Tom, for the phone call.
Thank you.
And Gary, thank you so much. Looking forward to it. Saturday afternoon at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Game, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central on ABC. I appreciate your time so much, sir, and I'll see you tomorrow afternoon, and we're going to shoot a television interview that'll run on my TV show on Saturday. So looking forward to seeing you.
Look forward to it, Gary.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, and travel safe. Look forward to hosting you and all the Crimson Tide fans over here in Atlanta.
We can't wait. Gary Stokan, our guest here on the program, joining us from Atlanta.